This is the Pop Culture Show. Subscribe and stay connected. Get exclusive video and more at thepopcultureshow.com.
My old man used to tell me, it's best to never say you've hit rock bottom. Trust me, he said, you can always go lower.
The gold from the Royal Merchant is here. $500 million.
John B., we are fugitives in a foreign country.
The word's still out there. I can clear my name, and this can all be over in one shot. If you think there's anything I wouldn't do, you haven't been paying attention.
That was the trailer for Outer Banks Season 2, and starring one of our favorite guests and the first ever return guest, I think. We'll have to fact check. Charles Esten.
Thank you.
Look at that.
Woo!
It's my Outer Banks hat.
OBX, baby.
OBX, baby.
Are you in the Outer Banks? I can tell. I feel like you're...
No, as you might be able to tell, I'm standing outside in Nashville, Tennessee, across from the pedestrian bridge.
Be careful. Be careful.
Wow.
It's a little windy out here. I can't hear you guys, but...
Dark already, too, it looks like.
A little bit, yeah. Just a cloud. No, this is I am in Nashville, but this is a big picture my wife got me on my office wall. This is, of course, the bridge that crosses the mighty Cumberland River right there in the heart of Nashville. That's the bridge that Deacon and Raina walked on in the very first episode. And then later I got down on one knee and I asked her to marry me on that bridge. And if memory serves, she said yes that time.
That is so great.
Memories.
Right?
These shows that you've been on, is it easy when you see a fan coming at you to know what their show is? Like, can you
That's
tell?
so fun. It's very funny you just said that. Somebody just asked me that the other day, and for a long time, the answer was always yes. I could always tell. You can tell the whose line is it anyway, people coming up, or you could tell, like, Nashville for sure. Something about Outer Banks or something just about I've been doing this long enough that I've sort of given up guessing. I sort of go, I don't know. Sometimes if somebody in the group, sometimes a group comes at you and everybody has their own different reason. And sometimes the little kids would be bored out of their mind, like the 6 or 7 year olds, they'd be like. And so when nobody was looking, I'd lean in and whisper, I'm the dad on Jesse. And they'd be like.
Or Sale of the Century.
That's a little ahead of their time, or most people's time. Yeah, for sure.
I would think Outer Banks people might be afraid of you because you play a bad guy. Ward Cameron's not the nicest guy.
Well, agree to disagree. It's true. You've heard a lot of people say, a lot of actors say, when you play a villain, nobody really perceives of themselves as a villain. Nobody thinks I'm doing these terrible things that he thinks and Ward thinks. I'm protecting my family and from these, and that's what I loved about the way they wrote it. There's no mustache twirling going on. He wasn't chasing these bad things. It's just he just didn't have the ability to stop. Once he was, the first rule of holes is quit digging. Ward keeps digging, and it doesn't seem like he's going to stop anytime soon.
Yeah, because in Nashville, let's face it, Deacon Claiborne was more of like sometimes a heartthrob, let's face it, but a lovable character. Do you still have, since you're in Nashville, have people call you Deacon instead of Charles Esten?
Well, it depends on how close I am to Broadway and what time of night it is. The closer I get downtown and late at night, you get a whole lot more Deacon. And that's a lot of fun. One of my favorite places is Robert's Western World, and I love a lot of the places down there. That when family comes to town, I'm not one that's going to stay in. I go out, so everybody's super kind, and everybody has just the fondest memories of that show. And I'm no different. Oh, look what I wore for you today.
Oh, see.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
That's perfect.
I literally never wear this shirt because I don't want to be that guy. But I thought, I'm on with Leslie, and we're obviously old friends going back to the Nashville days, so I thought I'd put it on. I have some interesting and strange Deacon Claiborne memorabilia. I got a guitar. I got a lot of the clothes. I went back, and they gave us an option to get some of the clothes. But I also have strange things like his car keys, like the little thing on the end of his car keys, his wallet.
Wow.
I have a checkbook that apparently works, so thanks CMT for that. And so all these little things that I just keep. I'm a memories guy, so that's why my wife got this. I like little landmarks of things that have happened, and I like to hold on to them.
You know, I don't know if Barnes or Cubby know this, but they were also selling a lot of the furniture and the set pieces from Nashville. Mm-hmm. And I went to one of those and actually bought 4 gorgeous chairs that were, you know, I mean, I got a great deal on them, but that was pretty massive. Do you remember when that happened? They were selling off everything.
Yeah, we went along, and I actually bought the piano that was in Deacon's house that he and Scarlett wrote that song, This Town, on the piano right there in Deacon's house. And I go, I think I'd like to have that. So I have that. Another thing I have is there's a chair in Deacon's living room that it's one of these chairs that when you sit in it, you're way down like that. You're just sunk in it. And I came to find out later that, you know, the people did set deck. That wasn't by mistake. That was on purpose. They knew this was a guy that was down and out, on his heels. You don't want somebody leaning forward. So it felt like that. Anytime there'd be a scene and I would sit in that chair, I felt like I was at the end of my rope. And I got that one, too. That's down in the basement, too.
Charles, let's dive right into it. On the 30th, Outer Banks new season starts. Tell me, what you can tell me about it.
Well, the first thing to say is we don't take any breaks and sort of regroup and regather and everybody takes a breather. It just hits the ground running. I was like 10 pages into the first script of the second season, and I called to my wife. I go, this thing is insane. So that really made me happy. I know these guys, these writers of ours, Josh Pate and Shannon Burke, along with Jonas Pate, who directs and produces. Last year was so well constructed, but I know second seasons are tricky. They're because you have a bit of an arc, and now what? And God bless them, that's what they think when the whole season's done. And they absolutely brought it. That and the fact that we were able to shoot it all with all the COVID restrictions that were necessary and made sense. I'm really proud of the crew and this young cast that was so, responsible and just made it happen. It blows up to an even more filmic level, I think, including the fact that we shot the last 6 weeks in Barbados for the Bahamas. It is just gorgeous. That trailer just came out, and it got me all excited all again.
It looks amazing. And what's so cool about Outer Banks, it's a great show you can watch with family. My daughters love it. We love it. And I'm not just saying that because Charles is on. I actually am invested in this thing and can't wait to see what happens and where the money went and see all the sites, especially because you guys are going off into, you said Bahamas. So the other one plays as the Bahamas?
Yeah, it plays as the Bahamas. It is Barbados, and the people there were amazing and so kind. We had to each quarantine. Not only did we get tested, of course, before we flew in there, but we had to stay in our rooms. I think it was 8 days under quarantine before we were able to get to work. But then about 5 or 6 weeks there, and it's just beautiful. The production value is crazy. There's some scenes where I'm very glad sometimes we do a lot of the drone shots on Outer Banks to get those big, beautiful look where we are shots. And those are so great because it's able to pull right up and go, oh my goodness, they really are like a mile inland and there's the ocean and there's, so it was great like that. I used to sometimes wish we could do that more on Nashville. It was a little pre-camera drones. And
yeah, that was pre-cam.
There would be a time where we would be shooting somewhere that I would go, this just looks like a backyard, a back alley of a place. Nobody knows that if they pulled the camera up and look, we're right by the river. We're right, Deacon's house is so close to the Nissan Stadium that he probably walked there when he watched Arena in concert. So the fact that we're able to lift up now with these things that aren't expensive helicopter shots anymore and see the entirety of it all is kind of really adds a lot.
The trailer, you mentioned cinematic. It does look like a really expensive movie. And I know you guys put out one trailer first that was just all action. There wasn't hardly any dialogue in it. And it was just, it like you said, hit the ground running. Yeah. So I'm really, really excited to see where this goes and how, what the next cliffhanger is going to be. It's good stuff.
Well, it's exciting. I don't know how you even do that. How do you put out all these trailers that offer all these clues without giving any spoilers away? Because you absolutely can't do that. But it's really exciting, and it's exciting to see all these young actors, Chase Stokes, Madeline Klein, Maddie Bailey, Jonathan Pope, just blowing up each in their own way, and they're all handling it so well. And it was kind of unusual when we first came out because although it was an odd byproduct that I think a lot of families did watch together because of the COVID lockdowns.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, and also it gave you sort of a chance to get outside in your mind, at least, and go on a gold hunt, a treasure hunt with all this action. But the strange part about it is while they were blowing up and getting super famous, they were locked down in little rooms. And so it's only now that they're even able to go out on the street and get somebody to say, hey, I'm a big fan. So I love it for them.
I didn't even think about that, but are you surprised the cult following that this show developed, just even in season 1 for Outer Banks? And I wanted to ask you that, and also, like, is there a name for all of the fans? Like, are they the Outer Bankers, or do they have a name?
The OBXers. How about that?
I mean, I guess I call them bankers, but yeah, I've heard them called Outer Bankums. With Nashville, they were all called Nashies. With Outer Banks, I've heard Outer Bankers, Bankers. I've heard OBXers too. So I don't know, probably be some contest or something. All I know is they're rabid, and it sounds
seriously.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. It's just sort of like the way I remember everybody had a favorite Beatle. It's the same way. It lets you be, fans of these friends, but then everybody has that one who's super favorite. I honestly think, and I think I said it last time, that is the real treasure of this show, especially during a time of lockdown where we're all spaced out and can't be together, is this group of best friends going up against the odds together. They have each other's back. They're hilarious. The banter, so much of which is improvised. They know that they already had a great chemistry. So yeah, they know what they have to say, and that's in the script. But then just the back and forth, the extra lines, that's all them. And a whole lot of people, as much as getting the gold, would just love to be in that VW hanging out with the Pogues.
Totally. That's awesome. I got an acting question for you. I don't want to get into acting, and Barnes, you already do it well, but you do it so well, Charles.
Thank you.
And I'm such a fan. And I have to ask, I want you to imagine a very demanding director or castmate. All right. How did you deal with a difficult director or castmate, and what made them difficult?
I'll answer in reverse order. Sometimes it's hard to know. Some people, we're drawn from a pool called human beings, and there's certain human beings that are difficult. And there's certain human beings, by the way, that are difficult on certain days. I've always tried to remember that you legitimately don't know what somebody's going through on that day, or the news they just got, or something that they're feeling. If it lasts over an extended time, that's a different thing, but you still don't know the road they're walking. The other thing, though, is a lot of times it is nerves, it's fear. A lot of like a lot of bad behavior. It can be real fear based, and so I have felt the thing of I don't know if I'm coming off well here. I think I might come off in front of millions of people looking stupid, sounding stupid, and it can get your blood up a little bit, and it can make you want to fight for the things you believe, but you want to walk that line, obviously, where you're still respectful. It's an enormously collaborative thing, acting. Somebody writes what I'm going to say. Somebody directs me how I might say it. Somebody dresses me. Somebody edits it. So that's really part of it, is you've got to be able to interact with all types. One thing you can do with it, I learned a while ago that it's hard to change somebody else. So I can mostly focus on me. I will try to use that. If they're being difficult, maybe that works somehow in the script, and I can use my frustration some way in the script, or I can use my anger in the script or something, or I can use my compassion. I can go, that person's having a hard time, and come at it that way. So mostly what you always want to do is have the authentic emotion, the thing that you're really feeling. If you can be acting what you're actually feeling, that's a beautiful thing. Had a lot of time with Connie, where Connie Britton was very good at that, and still is very good at that, obviously. Just being truthful in the moment. So you go with it is the answer.
Wow.
Hey guys, you know how you shift gears, kind of staying in the acting world. You know how when you get on anything and start going down a rabbit hole, like on Wiki, like you may see something on TV, you may see a commercial, and then you start going down a rabbit hole. I found a very interesting piece of trivia. This is Hollywood trivia. Hands up, no Googling, Cubby. I want to see if you all get one guess. Can you name the one actress who has both been a Playboy centerfold and won an Oscar? I'll start with you, Leslie.
Playboy centerfold and has won an Oscar. Jane Fonda.
Jane Fonda. Good guess. Not it. Oh, let me get the official button.
Vanessa Williams?
Vanessa Williams. I don't believe she's got an Oscar.
Okay, just a guess.
Charles. It's going to blow your mind when I tell you the answer. I was like, what?
Dead or alive?
Alive.
Alive.
So wait,
Betty White?
I'm trying to remember. Were centerfolds ever famous people, or were they? No, they were always unknown models. They weren't. It wasn't like you became famous and then got a centerfold. Or wait, was it a centerfold, or she just appeared in it?
No, that's why I was very specific. Naked, she was full on, not just like appeared.
Was she famous yet when she was naked?
I don't think she was.
I honestly don't know. I don't even have a guess.
That's a good.
Kim Basinger.
Oh wow. I don't remember her winning an Oscar.
She won an Oscar.
She did. 8 Mile?
Went down.
Did she win it for 8 Mile, playing Eminem's mother, maybe?
I think she was nominated for 8 Mile. She won for
Hollywood. The one with
Confidential.
Yeah, LA Confidential. Yeah.
Oh yes.
Googie. You can Googie it, Cubby.
I'll Googie it.
Googie it, couple.
Term. But
was she in 9.5 weeks early on?
You know what?
Because
yes.
When I first joined Blockbuster Video, they didn't have a porn section, and that was the closest I could rent. 9.5 weeks was the closest I could get.
And that's how long he kept the video too. 9.5 weeks.
Something came up about Brazelton, Georgia, which is just up the road from here, and I started Googling it. And remember, she invested heavily and bought that town.
I totally remember that.
And so I go down. Then I went down the Kim Basinger rabbit hole and realized all the trouble. Like she signed on for that movie Boxing Helena. You remember that?
Yes.
Madonna had signed on to do it here in Atlanta, and then she bailed. And then someone else, Kim Basinger signed up and she bailed and settled for like $4 million, which was 3 times what it did in the box office, eventually coming out, which was like, then you're rabbit holing Boxing Helena. I was looking up, where's the house where they, yeah.
Here's another one like that real quickly. I got to work with this wonderful, wonderful actor who has unfortunately passed, but he is the only person to have been killed by an alien, Terminator, and Predator. Any idea?
Oh, wow.
That's a good one.
Jeez.
That's really hard. Alien, Terminator, Predator.
Alien, Terminator, and Is it a really well-known actor?
Yeah.
Samuel L. I'm going to say Samuel L. Jackson.
No, ma'am. Nice try.
Okay.
I don't know.
It was, I got to work with him on Big Love. It was Bill Paxton.
Oh,
the wonderful Bill Paxton. Yeah, such a great actor. And when I saw him, I went up and said that, and he was like, that's absolutely right. I had somehow known that. He was so kind to me when I worked on
he's so
Big
nice.
Love. Oh, he's the best, yeah.
Can we do trivia with Charles every week?
I've been in this business long enough. Yeah, maybe.
He came in our studio a few times and was the sweetest guy. Just so freaking nice.
Been in so many movies, too.
So many movies.
And directed a great one. A Simple Plan was one that was just, that's off the charts good.
You told some great stories the last time around auditioning.
Oh, that's
and you said you had 1 million of them. Have you had anything ever happen where you were like either asked to do a role or you just decided you didn't want to do it, or maybe they wanted to make you do another role, like a different one that you auditioned for, then you passed on it and then it blew up? Like in a good way?
Oh, like where
it went on to be like, you made the dumbest decision.
where I passed on it, went on to be huge.
Yes.
That's a, I mean, man, I don't want to hold you guys up for a while. I know we edit this thing, but wow.
It's just always like you hear these stories about people who are like, that sounds stupid on paper.
Yeah, the first hurdle would be for me to remember it, and the second hurdle is not to be too proud to tell you. So already, that's wow.
There's friction. There's friction there. Think about it. If you come up with it.
I can tell you some ones that I wish I'd been in, but that I passed on. I honestly, this is the true thing. I can't remember one right now, but when I do, I would pass on them thinking they would be hits. I never passed on something because I thought this won't be a hit.
Oh.
In fact, it was the opposite way. It's like, I think this is going to, there's a chance this could be huge. So many, many people will see me doing this or acting like this that I'll either, is something I don't want to be a part of, or I don't think I'll be good in it. Yeah. So I never went, nobody will see this. That's never go do something and say, nobody will see this. I can do this job. Because that's the one that'll blow up for sure.
Did you see the story that broke last week about James Gandolfini and The Office?
No.
So apparently HBO paid him $2 or $3 million not to replace Carell in 2011 when Steve Carell left The Office.
That was a crazy story.
Wow.
It just came out last week, and then he died, unfortunately, in 2014.
Wow.
But offered him the money to stay off the show.
I would take that job.
What a great gig.
Yeah, but no, I mean, I had some gigs. One thing happened to me was I was on Broadway and I got fired because I couldn't dance. It was for a show called Smokey Joe's Cafe, which was this great review.
I remember that. I saw that show.
Yeah, the guy could dance. It was the songs of Lieber and Stoller, and I just had a really great audition where I sort of wowed them. I had been in other auditions for Broadway before. I'd always pass the acting and the singing, and they go, they just need one more audition. I go, for what? And they go, dancing. And I was to my agent, you know I don't dance, right? They go, I just want to see if you can move. And apparently I couldn't move because I would never get those. But in this one job, they forgot to give me a dance audition and they hired me. Ooh. And so I was at it for a while and I was working as hard as I could. One day the director said, Chip, let me ask you a question. Do you dance? After about 3 weeks of me out there doing it. And I said, well, that falls under things you should have asked at the audition. So anyway, they were very, very kind, and they let me go. And they brought in a wonderful guy who was already a friend named Bob Torty. And the crazy part was just because I had a contract, I got paid for a year not to be on Broadway. So it's not quite the same, but it's pretty close. I got paid for not dancing for like a year. And about 6 months in, I go down to the mailbox and I'm out of work except for not working. And I go to my wife, I go, hey, honey, I got a raise. I had a natural bump at 6 months. One other amazing story about that is that Bob Torty took over what I was not able to do in the show. And his leading lady, who I had been acting with, was a wonderful Broadway performer, dancer, singer named Delee Lively. A few years later, Patty and I were at some event in L.A., and we bumped into Bob Torty, Delee Lively, and their 3 children, one in her arms, one in a stroller, one holding the hand, and this unbelievable family. And we just said it was the best, and we talked about old memories. And then right before they walked away, I go, hold on, stop, everybody. I think it's important before you walk away for you all to remember that you have all this heaven, all this bliss, this incredible family, because Chip Esten can't dance. and that's just how jobs work. You don't know the greater good. You don't know in that moment why you're getting fired. I'll tell you one more funny story about that. This one has a bunch. I had to go back to my hotel right off of Times Square, and I stood right on an island in Times Square, and I'm faux dramatic. I was comedic dramatic. I was joking around. So I literally raised my fist to the sky and I said, as God is my witness, I'll be back. And, people, tourists look at you, New Yorkers don't even look twice.
Yeah, don't even blink.
So I was just joking around, being an idiot. All these years later, I think it was in the 5th season of Nashville. I was up in New York doing interviews with Today Show and a couple different places like that. And I'm walking back to my hotel on Times Square, and I look up, and that was the first time that Deacon was on the billboard. It was always
cool.
It was always Raina and Juliet, and then that time it was the 3 of us, I believe.
That's huge.
And I'm standing there. Yeah, it was huge for me. I was going, this is amazing. And then I looked down at my feet, and I was standing on the traffic island, facing the exact same direction where years before I had jokingly said, I'll be back.
Oh, that's
wow.
cool.
If I had thrown a rock, I would have hit the sign. So
that's a full circle moment.
Yeah.
How would you take a Broadway job and not expect that you would be dancing?
Not all of them have. You have to be a dancer.
Well, first of all, I expect that there's a whole lot of people that do and aren't. I thought I was the guy in the show that they would reduce the level of dancing and everybody else would dance around. I don't know. I just thought. Also, I'm a can-do-it kind of guy. I thought, and I truly still believe I would have gotten there. There was just no reason for them to roll the dice on whether I would get there or not. They had this other guy that was unbelievable and could sing. So I look back now and I didn't have too much else up my sleeve at that moment. I had some other cool things. By the way, if I had gotten that job, I don't think I would have been available for Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Oh.
Yeah, everything happens for a reason.
It really does. I mean, people say that, but it really, really does. But in that moment, I remember thinking to myself, kind of like what you just said, Barnes, is if I'm ever going to have any kind of career at all, you got to have the chapter where you got fired from Broadway. So that sort of gave me a little made it a little easier, I think.
So you've never taken dance lessons?
I have not. No. I'm
Well, tequila can change that.
Watch me on Whose Line. I say I can't dance, and then people go, that's just moving around. That's pretending to dance. I just am no good at memorizing the steps. It's weird. I can memorize all the lines in the world. I can memorize 1,000 songs, but I can't do that. I was super impressed with Bobby Bones going on and winning that whole deal, because that's a lot to learn very quickly under pressure. So,
well, I was going to ask you, if Dancing with the Stars called, I mean, would you say yes? Because the whole point of it is you don't know how to dance, and you learn. Yeah,
I'm a brave guy, but I don't know if I'd say yes. I don't know. Honestly, it's also, I don't know. I'm enjoying what I'm doing. I'm doing these other things right now, but I think there's a part of me that doesn't like to give in to fear. So for that very reason, I might challenge myself, like, what, are you going to not do this? And someday look back and go, oh, you were afraid to do that. So I might just go give it a shot. I don't see it happening anytime soon, but I don't know, I guess is the answer.
Well, you're playing a lot of dates.
Can you dance? Can you guys? Who of the three of you can dance?
No.
It depends on how drunk I am. I mean, the tequila reference. If I'm drunk, I think I'm the best dancer ever.
Well, that's not being a good dancer. That's just having having impaired self-knowledge.
Patrick Swayze in the Chippendale skit on SNL.
That's my favorite. Lord.
We didn't need to see that, Cody.
That's gross.
Is that where the camera goes?
Yeah.
It goes away.
The test pattern
Technical
comes up.
difficulties.
I follow you on Twitter and I see all your gigs. I know you have a string of gigs, including, while this is being recorded now, tomorrow night on release day for today. Tomorrow night you're playing in Charleston?
Yeah, at the Windjammer. The Windjammer is a beautiful place right on the Isle of Palms, which is right above Sullivan's Island, where my wife and I, Patty and I, lived for a while I was shooting the show. Made a whole lot of friends in that town and thought this would just be a great place. And it ended up being, although, it drops on the 30th, but it drops really at midnight on the 29th. So we'll be in there playing a big show. It's at the Windjammer. I like to call the show the Ward Jammer. And Ward will be jamming with my band Six Wire and this is one of those things where I get to combine those two things I love, just like I got to on Nashville. So get to do the show, and then right at midnight, Outer Banks 2 drops. Well,
I know you play the Grand Ole Opry this week, that weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever played that before?
I have. I'm really blessed to say that will be my, I believe, 141st.
Yes.
Okay, I thought you had played there. I was going to ask you if it made you nervous or not.
He's a staple at the Opry. Come on.
Well, that's a nice thing to hear, and to get to do that is seriously. I think that might be, if I'm honest, my favorite thing, that outcome of what came out of Nashville. There's so many blessings that came out of it, but
did it scare you?
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't scare easy. I used to when I was younger, but I found my way through that doing Whose Line, doing improv on television.
Yeah.
You learn to breathe through that and all. But I mean, I've been a very fortunate guy. I've played Buddy Holly in front of the Queen. I got to play Buddy Holly at the White House. So I've had some pressure-filled moments, but this is different. This is the Grand Ole Opry. This is that circle. This is the stories that I'd heard from my father growing up and that I'd read. And so it really got me. And in that moment, I was just sort of, and anytime you got a little bit nervous going on, there's a battle between don't think about it, which you don't want to do. You want to be in the moment, but don't think about it too much. In the end, it was a thrill. I made it through it. I probably wouldn't have started with a quiet song. If I could give any advice to any future Opry debuts out there, start with your banger. Get your nerves out and your jitters and just rock the house. And then maybe finish with your quiet one when you're a little more. I started with that little quiet Deacon song back home, and I could hear the quiver in my own voice. But I go, that's how it is. If it is, it is.
Man, that had to be tough. To move around Nashville, being on the show Nashville as one of the lead characters, that had to be a total trip.
Well, it's funny because the other song I sang that night, and I really am glad I did this, I sang Act Naturally, the great Buck Owens song that Ringo did for the Beatles. And it said, every line of it was exactly what was happening. It said, they're going to put me in the movies. They're going to make a big star out of me. Going to play a role about a man who's sad and lonely. And all I got to do is act naturally. So I remember I said something in the last verse. So come along, see if you can join us. I said, at the time it was Thursday nights at 9 on ABC. I'm the biggest fool to ever hit the big time, and all I got to do is act naturally. So that was a perfect first song. It shows that I know why I'm here. Now, hopefully, I can hope to begin to look like I belong at all, and somebody might enjoy the songs. So that's been the goal ever since.
Well, Charles, thank you so much for coming on with us.
Oh, absolutely. Every time I love it.
Can you do this? Can you go, I'll be back, Pop Culture Show?
On the bridge, the post.
As God is my witness, Pop Culture Show, I'll be back.
Catch Charles Esten, Netflix, baby, Outer Banks Season 2. Thanks, Charles. We'll see you.
Thank you.
Thanks, bankers.